Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of AgogeTV. I'm your host Phil Leonard.
I'm your host Josh Summersgill.
On today's show we have Rhi Pearson. Rhi's been a CrossFitter for many years now, competed at numerous competitions. I've seen her Rainhill Trials, Battle for Middle Ground and even Strength in Depth. She also has her own clothing brand called Halo Fitness.
This one right here.
Yeah. Lovely modelled, well modelled already. So I want to get into a few questions with Rhi. I'll let her introduce herself. And obviously the first one we always ask people is, how did you get into CrossFit and where did it all begin, kind of thing?
So I've been doing CrossFit, it'll be 11 years in August. I actually got introduced by my father-in-law, who is 72 now. And we moved in with them after I had my first child, Jessie, who's 11. And it was about 6 months after, and we were in between houses. We moved in with them, and he said, "Oh yeah, come along to this session. It's like sort of power hour, which we used to do with him, and it's really great. And it's got a bit of lifting, a bit of this." And we're like, "Oh, that sounds like our sort of thing. Let's go along." And it was at Wire Forest, which was actually the 6th box in the UK.
Wow.
To open. So I think it's 12 or 13 years now it's been going. I think it might be 12 this year perhaps. So that was Phil's box. So we started there, and I couldn't do a pull-up, I couldn't do a press-up, I'd never lifted before, because everyone always thinks you have to be able to do these things to start, but I was a gym bunny. I was like, used to run on a treadmill while watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or and that's what I used to do. So, and play hockey and outdoor sports. So, and so we started and never looked back.
Awesome. So you say you've been doing it for 11 years now. So
yes,
in obviously 11 years, that's a long time to be doing CrossFit. So I would class you as an OG of CrossFit now. But as it sounds daft, what keeps you motivated over that time? Is there anything specific that keeps you is it just the variety of keep coming back, or is there something specific? Is it the competition? What's your driver behind competing as such and turning up to CrossFit day in, day out?
I'm quite lucky. I don't really struggle with motivation at all. I do occasionally, some days I don't feel like it as much, especially if it's something I don't fancy doing on my program, but I know those days I've got to do. But yeah, I love training. I love being... Oh, I'm a sad one. I love it. I love the pain.
Good. I think you've got to.
But yeah, I love it. I love training. I love being active. I can't sit still. I hate sitting still. So yeah, I just keep going back, keep wanting to get stronger. And this week especially, I've just had test week, and I've actually PB'd nearly everything, lifetime, not just post fins. So
amazing.
Yeah,
awesome.
Good.
That's actually a fairly big achievement, I would imagine. So I tell you what, we'll skip ahead a little bit just because something I want to ask you about. Obviously, you've trained through pregnancy, and I know we've got a couple of members at the gym, not at the gym at the minute, but you get what I mean. We've got a couple of members at our gym that are currently training through pregnancy and working their way around it. Have you got any advice for people that are either training through it or just have just had a baby?
Yeah, so I've trained through 2 pregnancies doing CrossFit. So Harriet, who's now 8, and Finn, who's obviously coming up 18 months. And both were very, very different. When I had Harriet, I wasn't really doing CrossFit competitively. I was still doing it because I was wanting to be thin and just fit. So I didn't really get it. I was about 15 kilos lighter than I am now.
Wow.
And so I think I did it the right way this way. I knew I wanted to come back stronger. I knew I wanted to make sure my core and my pelvic floor was strong. So in pregnancy, I made sure I read up a lot about it. My coach, David Shrunky, was great, programmed me things. We stopped the barbell, stopped when I saw diastasis recti, which is the separation of the abdominal muscles. So you see a line in this linea alba here, which sticks out when there's too much intra-abdominal pressure. And that just, it's not a bad thing. Everyone gets it. So it's nothing to be scared of or afraid of. It just means there's too much pressure, and it just means it's a movement you need to stop doing during pregnancy. Plenty of things you can substitute for. And it happens on things like overhead or toes to bar, pull-ups, even press-ups, because of the plank position can cause the doming. So that's one of the main things to look out for, and you want to preserve your pelvic floor as much as possible, because you've got a baby sitting on there for 9 months. So things like running, jumping, things like that is things that you need to scale back on once the bump starts to get bigger.
Right. Okay.
So I think those are things I've learned. I've trained during when Finn was younger. I trained as a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism coach.
Right.
So I'm now
That's what
training.
PPA will stand for.
Yeah.
Before we're like, PPA coach.
Yeah, it's pregnant postpartum athlete. So it's basically developed in America for by CrossFit athletes and physios. So it's very specific, and I took the coaching course because I get questions probably, I'd say, daily from people announcing to me they're pregnant and what can they do when they start. I'm like, so I thought, because I do have quite a following of women, and women of the age of getting pregnant or even postpartum, and so I thought it was a sensible thing to get trained. So rather than just being someone that has been pregnant and giving advice, to someone who actually understands and is trained in it, giving advice as well. So
it's a little bit of a grey area, isn't it? So like, I was speaking to Bill about this today, because it's CrossFit in terms of sport is still relatively young. So in terms of training through it, there's a lot of maybe this, maybe that. There's a lot of opinions sort of thrown around and stuff. So I think the fact that you've actually gone away and been trained in it, as well as like going through it yourself, I think that's really good, and I think a lot of people will find that helpful as well.
I just thought it was I felt responsible because I do have quite a following on Instagram, and it was more, I just felt like I wanted to help people. I can't, and I haven't got time at the moment to actually do programs and stuff, but at least when people come to me and question, I can direct them to the right people, and people who know what they're talking about, so I can give them a bit of advice and say, but if you want more, go to this. So I've done quite a lot of research on it now. And then postpartum, I had quite bad diastasis, so my separation in my stomach was quite bad post 6 weeks. 6 weeks is very normal. Everyone separates in their abdominals, and it happens in 100% of pregnancies. But if it doesn't go back by 6 weeks, that's when you need to maybe go to a pelvic floor physio, a women's health physio, and get a bit of advice. I say it's nothing to be scared of. There's quite a lot of scaremongering about it. So I'm quite an advocate on this, and trying to take away the scaremongering from this, but focusing on pelvic floor health, because women tend to leak when they do double unders or lifting, and to make people understand it's very common. 7 in 10 women it happens in, but it's not normal, and there's loads of things you can do to help that, including going to a physio, doing your daily squeezes, and getting some advice that way. So I'm a big advocate on that.
It's really good. Like, firstly, like, so to explain what happened with one of my clients, Becky, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, she sort of come to me when she very early on and was like, I just need to tell you I'm pregnant, and like, obviously we're gonna have to work around it. And I was like, fuck, I know nothing about this. Like, I was like, okay. And I was like, I was honest with her, and that's what I said. So I was like, I don't know anything, but I'm gonna go and do some research. And like, again, pretty much what you summarized there, like, it was what I found out. And again, we just started working on things that I found online. And one of the really useful things that I found was especially like prehabilitation rehab exercises, such as crawling and stuff like that, like low level bear crawl kind of things. Have you got any experience for that? Because like I say, it was really quite new to me, but seemed very useful for building up intra-abdominal pressure and being able to stabilize your pelvic floor properly. So yeah, if you could expand on that,
yeah, definitely. So it's basically, everyone thinks you've got a strong core if you have abs. Abs are such a tiny part of your core. They're just the outer muscles that you can see, and that doesn't reflect on having a strong core in the slightest. You want to work on the transverse abdominals, so the inner layers of muscles that all are then linked to the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. And so there's certain movements you can do where you squeeze your pelvic floor and you connect it with your breath, and things like you say, the bear crawls, those you have to really focus on your transverse abdominals to be able to brace yourself enough to not allow doming to happen and control the pressure. But it's a lot to do with breath as well. So sometimes you'll do a movement like a pull-up, and when you're pregnant or even postpartum, and you'll get doming. But then if you breathe correctly, you'll find you can actually do the movement without doming. So it's trying the movement in a different way that works for you. So that's why there's not one thing across every pregnant person that is correct. The one thing that is correct is you have to switch off the athlete brain, which is the hardest thing. When you know you can do things, should you do them? I know I could have done a muscle up when I was pregnant. Yeah. Should I do a muscle up when I'm pregnant? There's a risk of falling. There's a risk of pressure. Should I do it? Well, 9 months of not doing something, no, there's no point. And that is, and from all the women I talk to, it's the hardest thing is, should I and can I? Yeah. And I think that's a massive thing. Handstand press ups, you can do them, but should you do them? Well, probably not really. You can do strict presses, like dumbbells are amazing. I love dumbbells. I love dumbbells now. Everyone hates dumbbells. I love them. I did them for like 18 months solidly. So
queen of the dumbbells.
And that's why you
dumbbells.
And that's why you PB and everything now.
I know. Well, it's they're so safe. Because you can control and you can do single arms, so you can get a lot more control, but also evens up so much instabilities as well. So you're not just working on being able to do things for strength, but you can work on instabilities as well. So it's like a win-win.
Brilliant, yeah, 100% agreed. Like safety first, and if it allows you to actually get better long term, then really there's no argument in it. Exactly. I think that's perfect summary. Really quick, you did mention that you've sort of PB'd everything. Did you find that sort of the training that you have done, that you did during pregnancy, actually potentially help, like you say, balance you out, that kind of thing, going into being back as a not full-time athlete, but you know what I mean, back into being competitive? Have you found that?
Who says she's not a full-time athlete?
I got to assume that if you run
I have a full-time job and 3 kids, so it's definitely an evening athlete.
Nice.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I think the hardest thing though is training through your pregnancy won't help for a fast bounce back. Won't help you have an easy birth, because you just don't know what's going to happen with birth. Like my birth of Finn was a million times harder than both my girls, yet I think I trained the most sensibly through my pregnancy with Finn. But there was a few complications and things, but he's here now, and he was 8 pounds 11, so he was a decent size, my smallest of my 3. So yes, I had to work on my pelvic floor. But yeah, I think the key is slow and steady return postpartum, and make sure you build from the inside out. Don't start things too early. You don't need to start things early. I hadn't done a muscle up to a month before the Open, and I managed to do the muscle up workout and qualify for strength in depth. So I think that shows. I didn't do pull-ups till about 6 months postpartum, and because I just hadn't built. I took so long to build up enough core strength and pelvic floor strength to be able to do them. I could do them, but I showed symptoms every time I did them. So I just scaled back, tried again in a week's time, scaled back, and just built up slowly.
Yeah. You could almost say then, like, sort of after you've give birth and you want to get back into training, more like treat it as if you're coming back from injury.
Exactly.
Take it really slow. Don't rush it, because obviously you'll make it worse. And just almost like, is it more of a case of, okay, I feel ready to do this now. I'm maybe going to try it safely, and then just start to layer it up from there.
Exactly. It's things like, don't go back in when you've got a 50 kilo snatch and snatch 40 kilos out of the empty bar. Do drills. Just like, I've literally, the only thing I haven't PB'd post Finn is actually my snatch. That's the thing that's slowest to come back. I'm 3 kg off, which I got a couple of weeks ago. So
damn it.
It was pretty appalling though. So
97 kilograms. I'm so close.
No. But lifting's always been my biggest weakness, because my strength, I'm not strong for a competitive athlete. I just I love the gymnastics. I love drills. I love doing drills, and I like the fitness side of things. I love cardio. I'm a weird CrossFitter that loves cardio.
I'm the CrossFitter of that. I like getting out of breath and hurting. Yeah, sounds about right.
I'm in your boat. Getting strong is not my forte, but throw me on a rowing machine and I'm a happy kid. You know.
See, I like the running.
I know. So running's far too much like hard work. But, one thing that I just wanted to mention is, obviously you said you went a really long time without getting on the rig, doing muscle ups. And I think that's probably really important for people to think about right now, in the fact that most people don't have access to a rig. Most people don't have access to a lot. And as long as you're training sensibly and working on the things that you can work on, it ain't going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Might take
100%.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do. And I try to say this is, I had a year without picking up the barbell, a year without doing anything on the rig other than holding static holds. But you know, and then I got into the Open, and I had my best finish in the Open, and that was 10 months postpartum, and I'd only been back doing things for sort of about 3 months. So it just shows I did, you know, dumbbell rows. Dumbbell rows are brilliant, or if you have barbell rows, they're brilliant for building up strength in your lats and lower traps. And it's again, just any kind of strict work. And it's always building up that strict work first before then doing it. And I just felt like one day I just thought, I'll try a strict muscle up. And I got one. I was like, I messaged David immediately. It's like, David, I got my strict muscle ups back. And he's like, right. And then he put them in the program and started doing that. And so, yeah, I feel for people. It's hard because your training has changed so much in lockdown, not being around people. And it's definitely very tough on people mentally, because the gym is not just a place to train, but it's a place to socialize.
Yeah.
But I think getting a friend, we do a Halo Zoom workout every Saturday, and we're getting between 40 and 50 people turning up to that. And it's
on a Zoom class.
Yeah, I know.
We can't even hold your internet for a 3-person. How would you hold a 50-person Zoom class?
I don't do the actual Zoom class. I attend the Zoom class.
Okay.
But, yeah, my internet's terrible. But yeah, it's amazing, and we just run through some drills, have everyone on the screen, and then do a workout all together. And it's been brilliant. And we've got a yoga class this week for the first time, and then a Zoom workout next week. So yeah, it's going really well.
I like it. It's good that, like, again, just getting people together to train in any way, shape or form is, especially at the minute, is great. You mentioned, obviously mentioned Halo, your clothing brand.
Yes.
So I tell you what, I'll let you feel. I've got loads of questions about it, but you tell me about it. Give me your elevator pitch for Halo.
Oh gosh, elevator pitch. I'm in sales, so you don't want that.
It's a long elevator journey. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's all right. So we're going up the Empire State. You know,
well, funnily enough, I'm actually reading a book at the moment called Elevator Pitch.
Right. Okay.
In the book, the opening scene is they're going up in the elevator, then the elevator crashes down and they all die, and they're trying to figure out what happens. So maybe the elevator pitch isn't the right.
Yeah, that's just.
So I like
give me your safe on the floor pitch.
Yeah.
So Hayla, yeah, we started the brand, launched it 4 days after Finn was born.
Okay.
So it's been nearly 18 months now, and it's been incredible. We started just with a few pairs of booty shorts, because I often rep for brands that did booty shorts, but American brands, and I hated sending people over there, having to get them from America. It's just customs. So I thought, why can't we do this? Yeah. So I approached my business partner, Paul, who owns Kitbox.
Right, okay.
And so he's sort of the hidden side of things, does basically the accounts, and then I do everything. I do all the social and marketing side, and sales and design and things like that. And so we've now, I think we've just gone for our 4,000th sale. So it's pretty cool, like, number to have reached in 18 months. And yeah, it's going amazing. It's going so well. We've had, we launched our high-rise booty shorts last April, so a year ago now, and we sold out in 48 hours. Wow. 400 pairs. So that was pretty crazy, because they'd accidentally been delivered to my house. They're in my living room, and I sat feeding Finn at 6:30 in the morning. We decided to launch them, and I was like, oh, I might get 50 orders. And I'm coming on my phone, I was like, I haven't counted these yet. Oh my gosh, there's like an order every minute, and it carried on to lunchtime. I was like, oh my gosh, I better count these shorts. So I was like, Finn, stop grabbing them. I'm counting them all out. And and so now we've branched and we do men's shorts, so matching men's and female shorts. We do the t-shirts, so we've got like capsule ones. This is one we did with Built Up North, and then we've done another one which is like a rainforest shield. And then we've got bikinis coming. I've had the bikini sample since last November. And so we've just been waiting for a good time to launch, and decided, so they're coming in about 2 weeks' time. So
amazing.
How's it going with like you guys sort of CrossFit shorts? Because something we talk about a lot is like, if you go away from like the big brands like Nike and whatever, it's really hard to find like guys CrossFit shorts that are decent, because there's a lot more obviously female CrossFit clothing out there, because obviously everyone's sort of making it and stuff. But yeah, like, how are you guys finding it with like the guys stuff?
We don't have as big following from guys, so I think we have about 90% women. But the guys that buy our shorts, they absolutely love them, and they come back for more. So the second we can convert a guy to try them, they just love them, and they've like got all of our shorts.
Should we order some now?
It's one of those things, I think, is once you've tried them and seen, I don't think they realise how comfortable they are. They've got an inner lining in them. They've got a little zip pocket. They're like the Lululemon ones, basically.
Right, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You'd sold me on the booty shorts, and it's all like. Now that I know I can get a men's pair,
I'm not training with you in booty shorts.
Why not?
We have some guys in them. So the guy did try them, and he said they're the most comfortable shorts he's ever worn. I was like, I'm not sure about them in the gym.
Sounds like Ben's from our gym, that.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like one of our coaches. I think he'd definitely be down for a pair of booty shorts, that lad. So, where did the name come from? Where did the brand begin?
So I'm a meteorologist. That's my full-time job. I'm a meteorologist, sales lead. So I train people to understand weather and for their business. So I'm
glad you expanded on that, because meteorologist, sales lead, I'm like, you sell people meteorites. What a job.
I like the fact that she sells people weather. She's a genius. It just happens.
I know. So I'm in the energy and utilities industry. So I've been doing it for coming up 15 years this year. Actually, it's my 15-year anniversary at the weather company. So the app on the iPhone, that's my company. That's who I work for. Nice. We're owned by IBM, and so I work for them. I used to be a meteorologist. So I used to do all the weather forecasts, and then I moved into sales, and I sell around Europe. So I cover like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, France, Nordics, UK, Eastern Europe. So I travel a lot for my job, and I go and do CrossFit around those places when I travel. Can't at the moment. So it's all done on Zoom. So yeah, it's I'm sat here because it's the best I can get the internet, and I have to watch the kids while I'm working from home. And so I normally have a naked Finn strolling by while I'm on a Zoom meeting with a customer. I was like, excuse my child, so I try to put my thumb up my hand going along.
I did want to bring you back to this, because now I'm a little bit more amazed, because so I assumed that Halo was your full-time role. So how on earth do you train for sanctional events? How do you run a brand, basically a clothing brand, and have a full-time job? Or like,
it's crazy.
And have 3 children.
Sorry. Yeah, like that's also important. Like, I can't even manage 2 dogs in a gym. Like, so.
It's quite busy. Not gonna lie. I think if you want to do stuff, then you get it done regardless. And I love, as I say at the start, I love training. That's a part of who I am. And so I always find the time for it. If I'm out the gym at 9 o'clock at night, I'll go to the gym at 9, or I'll squeeze it in normal time. Obviously, at the moment, we're not getting a rest from the kids from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. because they get up at 7, go to bed at 10. So it's full on mentally stressful at the moment. But normally they have their activities in the evenings. So like, I'll drop one of them off in one place, I'll drop another one off in the other place, I'll go to the gym for an hour, then I'll pick them up, and then I'll drop them my husband, then I'll go back and do the other bit of the gym. And so it's kind of crazy, but it works. So, and then at the moment it's my place to escape to. My garage. I'm very lucky to have my garage. I think I would just be I don't know what I'd do without the garage gym.
Yeah, I agreed. I don't know what we'd do without the bits of equipment we've got. And I mean, I know me and Josh have to train in the rain sometimes, but you know, like, so we've both just got an outside section. But
it's just good for mental health, isn't it? Just being able to move and do something that you love doing. I think it's so important right now. I think, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And then next time anybody comes to me and says I don't have time to train, I'm just going to refer them to this podcast and say, well, there you go. Like, yes, you do. No, that's pretty awesome. And like I say, very impressive that you fit so much into any one day.
That's why I've got the sun behind me, so you can't see the bags under my eyes. So, this was strategic, because I haven't been bothered to put makeup on. So I thought, if the sun's behind me, you can't really see my face.
It's not the best internet place, is it? It's the best lighting, is what you're saying.
Another really quick question for you, just before I realise I don't want to keep you on too long. But you mentioned your coach, and I didn't realise David Chirunki was your coach. And most people will recognise him as probably the only male athlete to be going to the Games from Britain this year, if it all goes well. And I think a lot of people are now, from Strength in Depth especially, are now aware of him as an athlete. But what's he like as a coach?
Oh, he's amazing. He's just brilliant. He's been my coach for 5 years. Wow. So I had shoulder surgery 5 years ago following a skiing accident. So I went skiing. I dislocated my AC joint, and so I've got a 4-inch scar running along this shoulder. And so that's how I got to meet David, and I got introduced to him by a friend of mine down in Cheltenham when he was over here in the UK. And I started having PT sessions with him. He started doing my program. When I first started with him, I weighed 56 kilos. I'm currently locked down 67. Normally a little bit lighter, but hey, lockdown days. So yeah, he the first thing he said to me was, "You're too skinny. You need to put on weight." So that was one of my first memories of him. And he said, if you can put on 1 kilo by the end of the month, I'll give you your first month program for free. So yeah, he's brilliant though. He is, as I say, 5 years is testament to his coaching. He's coached me through my pregnancies. He's coached me through, well, my surgery, injuries I've had just before Strength in Depth in December. I got injured. My shoulder, basically my shoulder where I've had surgery started to get a bit arthritic. It shows my age. I'm 40 in 2 months. So yeah, it's getting a bit arthritic now, and I've got a bit of some problems. So I need a bit more surgery and that eventually. So I took, before Strength in Depth, I didn't actually do anything gymnastics or lifting for 2 months, so it was a bit stressful. But yeah, David just programmed all around that, and it was brilliant. And he's just great feedback. We chat all the time on Messenger, and I literally cried so much when he made it to the games, and I cried every time then he shared a video. I was like, David, just stop doing this to me. So emotional.
Well, to be fair, I was at Strength in Depth in the crowd, and it was a pretty emotional moment all around. Never mind, just like, obviously I've never met David, so obviously like just for me, just for the fact that he was British and second on the podium with Matt Fraser and all the rest of it, it was just a pretty cool moment for everyone.
I talked to him about it. We had about an hour debrief on the phone after it, and just go through each of my events and say how it was and things. And I just said to him, I've been on this journey with him as well for 5 years. So he's been on my journey because I've been on his. And I knew it wasn't about getting to the games. It was about knowing he was good enough to get to the games, because we all knew he was good enough. I mean, he came, third last year. He was the only podiumed athlete not to make it to the games, or I think there was 2 of them perhaps, that got on a podium in a sanctioned event but didn't actually get to the games. And so this year, oh my gosh, I'm just so happy, and I'm over the moon for him, just over the moon. And just for him to still be going, I was messaging him last week, and when he was saying he didn't know, and then this week I just sent him a message and said, I am so happy.
Yeah, rightly so as well. I was pretty, to be honest, like I say, I don't know him, but I was made up myself just to say, like, I was actually, when I saw the announcement because I'm a big CrossFit geek, I saw the announcement on Morning Chalk Up, and I'm sat there going, hang on, what does this mean? And I'm literally trying to figure it out. I'm like sat in bed at like 11 o'clock at night with my phone going, what, like, how does this work? And I was trying to work out, because I couldn't remember whether he was second or third off the top of my head. I was like, I know he podiumed, and I know there's the whole thing with Lucas Holberg and that, and I was like, what? I was equally made up, because I always like to have a British person to cheer on at the games. Lastly as well, and again we'll get into some fun questions to finish off in a second. How was your experience at Strength in Depth? Obviously, you say you had to modify your training going into it. How was that? How did you find it?
Oh, I loved every second of it, every single second. I love competing. I was pretty nervous going in. Obviously it's my first big event. I've only actually done 2 other individual events. I don't tend to do many individual events, but I was surprised to qualify. I'm not gonna lie, but the 2 cardio workouts at the start of the Open were kind of my friends. The lifting one, not so much. So yeah, I just loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I had a couple of events where like I missed my snatch, 5-minute window to do a hang snatch. I missed it 6 times in 5 minutes, and in the last 5 seconds I got it my 7th attempt.
That is standard CrossFit behaviour, that, isn't it? There's nowhere else that you'd see that.
The cheer was immense, and everyone was just like, oh my gosh, so emotional. My kids were in the sidelines, my kids were there. My middle one was just going, I was like, I didn't think of doing that. Just
do it, yeah.
Easy.
Just like, and then the handstand walking one, I love handstand holds. I love them. I was doing them yesterday in the garden. I can handstand hold for 40-50 seconds. Walking, no, I just don't like walking. So to have a handstand walking event and it be in the main arena.
Yeah, it was cool.
With thousands of people watching, and I couldn't handstand walk, but I completed the first length, and the crowd erupted because they could see I was just up and down, and I literally, in the warm-up area, I was like, right, stay cool. Do not cheer when you make that first one. Do not cheer. Just stay cool. Be cool. Be cool. And like, there's not a cool bone in my body. And so I finished. I went, whoa! And I got on the bag, carrying the bag, like, I'm not cool.
But that's good 'cause it's real. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you're so excited, like, no, it's coming out, and that's what people want to see. It's cool. Do you know what I mean?
I literally can't control my emotions, and and so many people messaged me after that and just saying how much they loved seeing that, and I just, it was great, and it's given me confidence, because then I went and PB my handstand walk the week after. I was like, oh, I could do these now.
Go trial by fire.
So yeah, but it was brilliant, and I had my brand there as well, so I was working my stall as well as competing, and the kids were there as well, so it was pretty manic, and probably made a mistake Friday of doing a little bit too much, in that I didn't actually sit down for the whole of Friday, and I had the run on Friday, which I loved, and then there was the Fran event in the evening, and then after that I was just like, I was like, do I have to do 2 more days? Not 2 more days. I can't do 2 more days. I can't even do a day. I just sat there at 9 o'clock waiting for them all to arrive, and I was like,
I've got nothing left.
Yeah. I to be fair, I had the same conversation with Shan, who was one of our athletes who was in the 45 and overs, 40 to 45. Oh. Yeah, 45 and overs, trying to remember.
Shan, is that Percival? Is that? Yeah. Yes, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's one of our athletes, and she and I remember on day 2 just being like she got in last place because somebody dropped out.
Yeah, was she really last minute, wasn't she?
Yeah, we found out like 2 weeks before, if that, and I was just like, we got to day 2 and I was just like, you're not prepared for this, don't worry if you're tired, like this is like, we have not done anything to like get you to this point, so just do your best. And she had a very similar experience, just like absolutely loved it, and it was a great event for everyone, I think.
Amazing place. I think I move up categories for this year. I only missed the next category up by a month, because cut-off's like July, isn't it? But I'm end of August, my birthday, so yeah, I move up. So I'm fingers crossed that's what I'm going to try and go for next year, if everything's back to normal.
Yeah, so, hopefully it is, and might get to see a bit more of you next year then, if all works out well for everyone.
Yeah.
So, right, again, I don't want to keep you too long. I know we're running on, but we've got a couple of fun questions to finish with, just to, and not to try and trip you up, but this one, the first one always trips everybody up. And basically, the question is, what if you could spend 24 hours with one person, and they can be dead or alive, but you get 24 hours to learn as much as you possibly can from them? What would it be? Or who would it be, sorry?
Oh my gosh, that will trip me up. Oh,
everyone trips up on it, isn't there? That's why I ask it, to be honest with you.
I don't actually know who would. I don't have time to think of this sort of thing.
I can't say David Trunke. That's the one.
Yeah.
I love Morgan Freeman. So let's go for Morgan Freeman. I think he's awesome.
I like it, an original. Excellent.
Not CrossFit, you see. I'm not all about CrossFit.
What about Morgan Freeman, like, talking over the CrossFit Games? Now we're talking.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Now we're talking.
I don't know. You know, I'm a big fan of Sean Woodland, and hopefully he's going to be on the podcast soon as well. So we can't kick Sean Woodland out before we've had him on the podcast. So next question.
Yeah.
Is one book or film recommendation that everybody should watch/read?
Book. I do one of each. A book is Harlan Coben. He's my favourite author, so anyone by him. And he's done a couple of series on Netflix as well. So now's your time in lockdown, safe and Stranger.
Yeah.
There we go. Wasn't
Yeah,
exactly film, but
no, yeah, my girlfriend loves Harlan Coben. That's how I get brownie points. I see that the book's coming out on Amazon. I pre-order it without even thinking about it, and then like 6 months later, I get a little surprise and go, "Oh, look, I bought you a present," and she's dead made up and thinks I'm ace. And really, Amazon.
You bought books for?
No, just
like that, is it? Oh, okay.
I just brownie points. Told you. So I get. You're my gym wife. That's it. Oh no. Okay, one last question to wrap it up. I've not heard you swear yet. So, what's your favourite swear word?
I don't often swear. I do say shit a lot, and then my kids go, "Mummy, you just what?" I don't think that's really a swear word. So that's probably the one I use most commonly. And they tell me off saying bloody, and I don't think bloody is a swear word.
No.
No, it's just a very English sort of like expressive term.
It is. Have you not listened to me? I'm kind of. My husband says I'm too posh to swear.
I'd have to agree, but that's genuinely why I asked the question, because
oh bloody hell!
Yeah, usually the first thing people say to us is, "Can I swear?" And then so when I didn't get that question
at the start, and I was like, I don't think I really do that much.
No, you're all good. Excellent. So before I let you go, obviously, is there any sponsors, anybody that obviously Halo that we'll link up to in the show notes? But is there anybody you want to promote? Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Obviously, my coach David Shrunky and JST. And then Challenge State do the CBD oil, which I do take every day. And he's a great guy as well, Joseph, that runs the company. And obviously Kitbox, because he's my business partner, and I should probably give him a shout out.
No.
But yeah, Halo's my business. And I do get all my supplements and things from Icon Nutrition. And one of the ladies is Pretty Athletic Skinwear. That's right. What I use, a great like active skincare range.
Okay.
Bet you weren't expecting that one.
I was not. I can also see a few discount codes in your bio as well. So if anybody wants to check you out on Instagram, what's your Instagram handle, if you can remember?
Well, it's RhiP32, RHIP32. So it was set up a few years ago. You can probably guess how old I was then.
Nice, excellent. But highly recommend giving Rhi a follow, just because she does all the gymnastics, and obviously check out Halo.
Bikinis.
In bikinis, yeah. So thank you very much, Rhi. Really enjoyed that, and definitely, hopefully, we'll be able to get you on again sometime in the future. Maybe might be cool if you and Shan make it to Strength in Depth. We could do like a little post Strength in Depth analysis. I think that.
Oh yeah, of course, they'll be in the same category now, won't they?
Yeah,
awesome.
Sounds good.
I like it. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, get you on again in the future. Anyway, so guys, thank you everyone for listening today. Obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, review, all the rest of it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, please. we keep meaning to ask you to subscribe at the start of the show, but we forget every time. So if you've made it this far, then please enjoy, because give us a like and share. It helps us get the word out there to more and more people. It helps us do more cool podcasts with people like Rhi. Again, guys, thank you very much. 5-star reviews, all the rest of it. Peace.